Hey there, I'm Emmet, and welcome to Not Devlog. I am now going to talk to you about the world of ads, ad networks, ad mediation, the whole world of monetizing your game using advertisements. This is a topic I've been studying for a little bit, and I want to share with you whatever knowledge I've acquired. Not because I'm the smartest person when it comes to this topic, or not because I'm the smartest person in general, but because I feel like as an amateur game developer, I have learned a couple of things and passed a few hurdles that might be better for you to avoid altogether. So let's just jump into it. Currently, the way most games on mobile make their money, putting aside gambling games where they get money directly from in-app purchases, is advertisements. The concept that if a user watches an ad and you're the developer showing an ad, you will get money for every like X user seeing every X ads. That is the base concept of advertisements in the game, in an app or a game. There are a couple of different types of ads, and we'll go over them in a second. But beforehand, I think it's important to address the mechanics of it. So as I said, the way it works is if you show people, if you have a platform, in this case an app, and you show people ads, there are people who make ads and they want their ads to be seen. If you can show them to users, and if users actually see them, advertisers will pay you for it. That's the basic concept. They will pay you depending on how many people see your ad, how much they seem to be engaged with it. That's pretty much it. So, if you want to monetize your game or an app using ads, you have two things to keep in mind. The first is to, first of all, find the right ads and put them in the right place in your game. You don't want to make them too intrusive to make people back away from your game. And the second thing is, if you're paying as well, if you're advertising the game yourself, you want to make sure that the amount of money you spend acquiring new users, getting new users to play your game and watch ads, costs less than the amount of money you make from those people watching ads. That's the basic monetization model. Because if it costs you more to get a new user than the amount of money you make from those users watching your ads, you will be at a loss. The more users you will acquire through ads, the more money you will lose. And that's a bit of a problem. Let's talk a little bit about the different types of ads now that we are familiar with the concepts of what they are and why we would use them. So advertisements, they're basically three main versions of ads that you can show in an app. The first one is called interstitial. This is the most base version of an ad. This is a little pop-up that you have that immediately can click away from. It could be a text, it could be an image, it could be a small video. This is the most common type of ad. It is essentially the mobile version of the pop-up ad, as I said. And you want to put them in like the correct places for your app. You want to put them in breaks of progression, so between levels, when somebody loses, something like that. You don't want to interrupt the flow with them because that would hurt the experience significantly. The second type of ad that's fairly common is what's called the rewarded ad, usually rewarded video ad. This is akin to the 30 seconds unskippable videos that you have seen maybe here and there. Usually these are fairly annoying videos, but the thing is that you show these ads only before you're about to reward a player. So for example, if a player lost a level and say you can play the level again, but first you have to watch this ad, then if they consent, they say, yeah, okay, show me that ad, then you can show them a 30-second ad. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that's illegal for you to just throw them into your game. But these are obviously the ads that pay the best, but people watch the least because they take the most from them. The third type is a very passive type. It's called the banner ad. It is a small banner, either at the top or the bottom of your application, that has, an image or a video or some text. But I'm pretty sure it never ever makes sound. And it just sits there through the experience, a constant ad as people are playing the game. Even like during a level, you'll be able to see a banner ad. These are basically the three basic ad types, and not all ad networks support all these ad types, but we'll discuss that in a second. What are ad networks? So ad networks are sort of like a man in the middle between you and advertisers. If you're a developer and you want to start showing advertisements, you could just go to like a company, say like, a bakery down the street and say like, hey, can I show ads of your bakery in my game? And they could say, sure. But then all the ads in your game will be just of that bakery. And usually you don't want to do that. Usually you want to show as many advertisements of as many people, because they compete over who can show the advertisement. You'll have an endless supply essentially of advertisements. And that's why you want to get as many advertisements as possible. But how will you find all those advertisers? And how will all those advertisers find you? Well, ad networks create APKs, SDKs, not APKs, software development kits, that you put in your game. And basically, they do a lot of the work for you. They say, okay, you just contact us, you'll load an ad from us, and we have this huge pool of all the advertisements that advertisers want to show. We'll just pull one, depending on the context you tell us, and we'll show it. So basically, a couple of names of ad networks they can use. There's Unity Ads, you got AdMob, Google AdMob. You got all sorts of other ones. Sorry, I don't have anything right. Let me check real quick. Sorry about this. Yeah. Ad Colony, Ad Falcon, AppLovin, Facebook Audience Network is Facebook's one, all sorts of stuff like that. So basically, all of them work a bit differently. They have some strengths, they have some weaknesses, and because of that, you might want to pick a certain one. But before you do, you shouldn't. I know, this is a weird thing to say. When I made games, I already released 2 apps that used ads, and both of them used ad networks. The first was Unity Ads, the second used Google AdMob, and this was a mistake. I should not have done this. Why is this a mistake? Well, as we said, ad networks have problems, and they also have limits. If you are in a specific region and your game is for a specific audience, they might not have an ad to show at that time. Unity Ads especially suffers from this. So many times you'll try to load an ad and you just won't have an ad to show. You'll have ad inventory, that is a space in your game to show an ad, but simply put, you won't be able to, the fill rate won't be good. You won't have ads showing every time. And this is very problematic, not only because you're missing out on potential revenue, but also because this might create some bugs in your game. If you were planning to show an ad and then there isn't, and then what do you do? So because of that, something you might actually want to consider is to go with a mediation platform. And what a mediation platform is essentially what an ad network is for ad networks. So if an ad network takes all the different advertisers and clumps them together into one SDK you can use, a mediation platform creates one SDK that connects you to all the different ad networks. And then basically whenever you use that mediation platform's SDK to load an ad, you actually load an ad from one of the ad networks and show it. That way you have a much bigger pool of ads, and depending on the model that the mediation platform uses, those ads might pay you more. And the reason that is, let's talk about effective cost per mile, or EPCM. This basically is the term that's used to measure how successful you're doing in terms of revenue in terms of ads. It basically tells you how much money you would earn from advertisers per 1,000 impressions, 1,000 people seeing an ad. The higher this number is, the more money you would make for ads. And this number would be high if this is a competitive market, if your game is successful and advertisers are seeing that they're getting very high very high levels of feedback, interactivity, retention. This is basically what you're striving for: a high effective cost per mile. So because of this, there are 2 models that mediation platforms use to select which ad network to use to give you an ad. The first is called waterfall, where basically you have a list saying this is the best ad networks, this is the worst one. We'll start with the first one. See, hey, do you have an ad that fits the situation? If they say yeah, great, we'll load the ad. If they don't, okay, we move on to the next network, and so on and so forth. And when we say best, not only in terms of do they have the available ad, but also will they pay good money for it. The problem with this waterfall system is that it might be a bit slow if you have a lot of networks to go over. And also, a lot of these mediation platforms are biased. A lot of them, for example, Google, AdMob. So AdMob is a network, but it also has a mediation platform. But the mediation platform, many times probably, will pick the Google network because it's their network. They'll make more money if people use their advertisements rather than Facebook's or Yahoo's or whatever. So because of that, it's often becomes very problematic. You won't always guaranteed get the best price for the ad that you're showing. This is a more legacy system, and the new system, which is unified auction, is what most mediation platforms nowadays use, and it's the best for us, for publishers, the app developers. What it does is basically simultaneously it sends a request to all the different ad networks saying, this is the ad I want to show. Start bidding. Who wants to take this position, this inventory? And then each one says like how much their ad is willing to pay for being displayed, and then the ad will be, paying the most will be shown. And that way it's faster because it's simultaneous. And on top of that, because it's everyone auctioning against each other, of course, the auction isn't done in person. These are algorithms, bots that are doing it. But because of the auction, you'll also guarantee to get the best price you possibly can. So this is really good. And this is what I recommend getting. So this is the big secret. Many times when you'll be reading Unity's documentation or Google's documentation, many times you'll read about their ad network, and often you'll not read at all about their mediation platform. Not because they don't advertise it, but rather they, as a company, would profit more from you using their network than you using their mediation platform. But as a developer, you would be better off using a mediation platform. So whenever you're going to go into advertisements, please do the extra work and use a mediation platform, and you will just save yourself time and you'll probably earn more money. It's pretty great. But do your research. Like, I have put a lot of time looking into the different mediation platforms, seeing what they offer, which data tools they give, which networks they're paired with, because not all mediation platforms are created equal. I won't tell you exactly all the data that I've found, because honestly, I'm not sure how valid it is. I'm not sure how true it is, and how relevant that information is. I will tell you, as I said in the previous video, that I'm using Google AdMob's mediation platform in the end. I feel like that's the best one I can use for myself. Maybe you'll find the same, maybe you'll find it different. Just some of my tips when you're looking for a mediation platform. The things you want to notice and keep track of are all mediation platforms are good, all networks are good, but not all of them are equal, right? You might see a mediation platform that has 40 plus networks, and your first instinct might be to say that mediation platform is better than one that only has 15 or 10 networks attached to it. But not all networks are created equal. Some networks have a huge market share in terms of people who go there and put their advertisements there, while some are tiny and minuscule. You might be better off getting a couple of very, very good networks than getting like 40 lesser known ones. And remember that if you have 40 of them and you now have to wait for each one for the response, it might take you longer. Because of this, you really have to, more doesn't mean necessarily better. You have to really look into it. Another thing is that ideally when you're making a game, you don't want to just make a game and release it and that's it. You want to always improve it, change little settings, tweak them here and there to make it more profitable, to make it a more fun experience. And because of that, you want an ad platform that will give you good data, good analytics on the way people engage with your advertisements and engage with your app. If there's one that gives you basically no data, that's usually a bad sign because you need that data if you want to make your game better. So look at what info they can offer you. And as I said before, my personal opinion, auction is objectively better. Okay, I just said my opinion, objective, whatever. Auction, in my opinion, unified auction is better than waterfall. It's faster, and I think it gives you more profits every time. I just think it's superior. So I would recommend choosing a mediation platform that uses that specifically. That's it about ads. Like, putting them in your game and stuff. I'm fairly certain that if you're making games, you also know you've played enough to know where ads are shown in them. So just use common sense. Don't make terrible games that are just filled with ads. Make good games that use ads occasionally to make you able to make more games. That's it basically. If you have any feedback about this, if you think that I was wrong about anything, if you have any further point to bring up, please bring up in the description below. I want this to be sort of a discussion where new developers can see this YouTube video and get a head start, like a major head start on advertising their advertising in their mobile apps, because it's a hard thing to do on its own, and it's even harder to know what is the right option where there's so many options out there. So thank you very much for watching the video. Give me your feedback, please, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.